Hello everyone and welcome to Ecosistant. Which online retailer hasn't experienced this? A customer orders a product from your online shop. 2 days later, they realize they don't actually want it anymore and wish to withdraw from the purchase. They search your website for a way to do so, but don't find a clear option. So they send an email via the contact form. At the same time, they initiate a return. Maybe they also contact customer service. In your system, this creates multiple cases at once. Email, return, service ticket. The actual withdrawal is buried somewhere within these, but it's not properly documented and not clearly assigned. For your team, this means manual effort, coordination, potential errors, and additional costs. This is exactly where the withdrawal button, starting in 2026, comes into play. June 19, 2026 is more than just another compliance deadline for many online retailers. From this day onward, a clearly visible electronic withdrawal function will become mandatory for numerous consumer contracts concluded online. This is often referred to as the withdrawal button. The background is Directive 2023/2673, through which the EU has modernized consumer law in several areas. The central idea is simple. Anyone who can conclude a contract online should also be able to withdraw from it just as easily with the framework of the statutory right of withdrawal. For you as retailers, this is important, not only legally but also operationally. In many shops, withdrawal is actually the starting point of the return process. That's why it's worth viewing the new withdrawal button not just as an additional obligation, it's also an opportunity to make your post-purchase processes cleaner, more digital and more efficient. We spoke with our partners at 8 Returns and tapped into their expertise. 8 Returns is a Berlin-based software company specializing in returns management and e-commerce. Their platform helps online retailers automate returns, guide customers through the return process, and reduce revenue losses. So they really know their stuff. So let's take a closer look at the topic. We'll dive in after the intro. So what is the withdrawal button about? The new regulation targets distance contracts concluded via an online user interface. This mainly refers to traditional online shops, websites, shop sections, and apps. In the future, withdrawal must be possible via a clearly accessible electronic function. This function must be easy to read, easy to find, and continuously available during the withdrawal period. Based on current implementation requirements, it must not be hidden behind barriers such as registration, additional authentication, or unnecessary intermediate steps. And this is the core of the reform. Withdrawal is being standardized, away from scattered emails, contact form, free text messages, or unclear service channels toward a binding digital process. For consumers, this means more clarity. For you, it primarily means one thing: less room for interpretation when it comes to how withdrawals must be received technically and organizationally. Withdrawal in e-commerce. Legally, withdrawal is first and foremost a consumer right. In e-commerce, however, it is also an operational lever with direct effects on costs, service, and workflows. Many returns effectively begin with a withdrawal declaration. Even when customers believe that they are just sending something back, legally, withdrawal is often the starting point. That's why this new obligation affects not only your legal team or shop development, it also impacts customer service, returns management, ERP integration, warehouse processes, and refund logic. Once withdrawal is triggered via a defined electronic function, a standardized digital entry point is created for a process that was previously spread across multiple channels. This improves traceability, data quality, and internal clarity regarding responsibilities. So what changes in practice? The term withdrawal button may sound small, but in practice it's about more than just a button on the front end. According to the planned model, the function has a two-step structure. First, the consumer is directed to a page where only certain information can be entered or confirmed. This includes, in particular, the name, details identifying the contract, and an electronic communication method for confirmation of receipt, such as an email address. After that, a second confirmation function must be available through which the withdrawal declaration is actually submitted. This confirmation must also be clearly and unambiguously labeled. For retailers, this means it's not enough to place a link labeled contact or register return. A legally sound process is required. This also includes sending an immediate confirmation of receipt on a durable medium, typically via email, containing the withdrawal details as well as the date and time of receipt. This alone shows the topic is not just about design, it's about coordination between legal, UX, technology and operations. The standardization of returns logic. This is where the withdrawal button becomes strategically interesting for many companies. In online retail, standardization is almost always more than mere compliance. If withdrawals are submitted via a defined digital channel, subsequent processes can be structured much more efficiently. The case can be immediately assigned to an order, customer service receives more standardized cases, deadline tracking becomes easier, refunds can be triggered or blocked more effectively, and return labels, warehouse expectations and inbound processes can be prepared earlier. This is not automatic, but the new requirement provides a strong incentive to finally implement such standardization. Especially for companies where withdrawals currently arrive somehow via email, phone, marketplace messages and contact forms, the new regulation can act as a catalyst, not because legislators want to improve processes, but because clear legal requirements often lead to greater technical discipline and cleaner internal workflows. Why it's important for retailers. Many companies initially focus on the visible interface. Where do we place the button? What do we call it? How do we implement it in the shop? That's important, but not sufficient. Equally important are the questions behind it. How is the withdrawal recorded internally? Who receives the information? How is receipt documented? How do you distinguish between withdrawal, a simple return request, and a complaint? Which systems need to communicate with each other? What standard communication is sent to customers? And how do you prevent unnecessary manual loops? The easier and more digital the entry into withdrawal becomes, the more important a robust back-end process logic will be. A challenging legal requirement. Additionally, violations may have more than just formal consequences. Based on current implementation guidance, failure to comply or incorrect implementation can lead not only to warning notices and sanctions. The information obligations surrounding the right of withdrawal will also be adjusted. If the new withdrawal function is not properly provided or customers are not correctly informed about it, the withdrawal period may be extended. Current guidance mentions a period of 12 months and 14 days. This makes it clear the withdrawal button is not a nice to have or a minor detail to be handled at the last minute. It is a topic with real legal and economic relevance. Early action pays off. Even if the deadline still seems manageable, acting early is advisable. The requirement affects not only your shop, but your entire ecosystem. Front end, checkout proximity, customer account, service, email communication, data protection, documentation, and back office. Companies that already used clear digital returns and service processes will usually find the transition much easier. Those still relying heavily on manual work or historically grown special cases in customer service should put this topic on their roadmap as early as possible. The overall perspective is crucial. The withdrawal button should not be implemented in isolation as a purely legal measure. It belongs in the post-purchase architecture. That's where it ultimately determines whether the requirement creates additional workload or leads to a better, more consistent process. Okay, let's get to the conclusion. Yes, the new withdrawal button is primarily a legal requirement, but for online retailers it also highlights an area that is often costly, error-prone, and organizationally underestimated: handling withdrawals and returns. That's why it's worth taking a different perspective, not just how do we comply with the requirement, but also how do we use this requirement to improve our processes. Anyone who sees the withdrawal button merely as a front-end element is thinking too small. Those who understand it as a fixed digital entry point into the reversal process can gain real structural benefits. And that's where the opportunity lies: more clarity for your customers, more traceability for you, and ideally a returns process that is not only more legally compliant, but also more efficient. Many thanks to our partners at 8returns for the insights, and if you want to know what else is coming your way as an online retailer in 2026, I highly recommend this video. That's all for today. See you next time.